It's our first time actually reaching the coast here in Mexico, so it feels like a little bit of a monumental experience. It was so hot last night.
All of these little toxic dots are confirmed cases. So we're here actually where this little toxic dot is, so that means there's a confirmed case in Villahermosa.
I'm ready for some chocolate, even though it's like 9 a.m. I didn't have breakfast. I'm saving room for all the chocolate.
There couldn't be a better hunker down situation that I could think of. We're headed out of Cholula. We had to pull out of our site to dump because the dumps over on our side of the park were less than adequate. Between Puebla and what little bit we actually saw of Cholula, because apparently there's 3 distinct areas of Cholula, it was awesome. The pyramid was cool, like you could actually go inside of the pyramid, which you couldn't do at any of the other pyramids that we've been to so far. The food was excellent. I feel like we're repeating a lot of the same things about Mexico, but like other than the RVing challenges, this country rocks.
While Dennis finishes dumping, I'm going to wrap up everything on the inside. Right now, when this is being filmed, it's about the middle of March, and in the United States, the coronavirus is pretty much going wild. They just started doing a lot of quarantines where they're limiting the amount of people that can get together. They've shut down schools. They've pretty much canceled all big events, sporting events. And here in Mexico, it's really not that big of a deal yet. There's way less confirmed cases. I think it's below 50 currently. It could be because there isn't a lot of testing being done in Mexico right now, or it just hasn't spread as vastly as it has in the United States. Either way, they haven't really done a lockdown yet here, so we're pretty much just kind of rolling with our original plan, moving forward toward the Yucatan, and hopefully if they do start to limit the amount of functions that are being held, we'll at least be close to the beach. But our first stop for today is about 3.5 hours outside of here. I don't remember the city's name. I'll have it flash somewhere or show up on a map. But it's pretty amazing to think of how far we've come. Even just in a month and a half, we're making our way toward the Yucatan. Oh my God.
Okay, make it real easy. This is serious speed bump coming in.
We made it to Anton Lizardo, which is about 20 to 30 minutes outside of Veracruz, which is a huge beach destination. And the place is a little bit, I wouldn't say run down, it's just not quite as luxurious of a beach destination, but we're still very excited to be close to the ocean. It's our first time actually reaching the coast here in Mexico, so it feels like a little bit of a monumental experience. So we ended up paying for pretty much a dry camping spot next to the beach at a hotel, which cost us about 180 pesos per night. For dry camping, it's expensive, but what are you gonna do? So to make the most of our day, since it's very hot inside the RV, we're gonna go grab some lunch at a mariscos and seafood place right on the beach.
WhatsApped a picture to my mom about an hour ago, and she just replied with "Happy anniversary, we love you guys," and we both looked at each other like, "Is it our anniversary?"
When did we get married? 4 years today, guys. Woo! But that's how you know it's good. That you don't, you're not counting years. You're just happy. Happy anniversary, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. It was so hot last night. It was dry camping on the beach. The low was 71. We had all the windows open, fans on, but it was hot. So we're changing our plans. Instead of going to a really cool dry camping spot kind of in the jungle, we've decided to make it to our next destination, which is Villa Hermosa, because it's going to have hookups, so we can hopefully have AC in this really hot weather. So we're packing up now and we're gonna get going. I think it's a 6-hour drive today.
Hopefully just a 6-hour drive.
Hopefully just a 6-hour drive. We're ready. We just entered into a new state of Tabasco, and we got to our first toll booth that is occupied by residents. So supposedly, well not supposedly, now it's been verified, right? Because we've experienced it.
Yeah, it's a thing.
But we had been told that some toll booths had been taken over because it's extremely expensive to drive on the toll roads. And these were created to be an affordable option for people to get around Mexico in a much faster, safer method.
But for the locals, it's highly unaffordable and it's not economical.
Completely out of reach.
Oh, yeah.
So many places, I guess in Tabasco, certain toll booths have been taken over by the residents, and they've kicked out the toll booth workers, and they pretty much are just collecting a donation, or they'll tell you a dollar amount, no matter what type of vehicle you have, to pay them. So
they're not very organized about it. Like Howard and Caitlin, it was obvious that they were looking at Howard and Caitlin's rig, trying to figure out if they should charge them more or less than what they charge them because they have a tow car, and they ended up charging them 100 pesos and then told us the same.
But it was significantly less than what it would have been for our camion with dos ejes, which is the 2-axle vehicle. So it's been an interesting drive, very different from where we have been. It's kind of reminiscent of like South Florida, very flat.
Yeah, it reminds me of Homestead, Florida a lot. Like just above the Everglades, a lot of farmland, very flat.
Swamps.
Swampy.
Tropical plants. It's beautiful, but we are definitely ready to get to Villa Hermosa.
Yeah.
Only about 58 minutes left.
Oh boy. I don't feel like I've been driving all day. Hey, what do you think you're doing?
So the AC situation at the campsite is...
Yeah, so it's hot AF. It's like
so
93
warm.
degrees, and we're at a water park. We've been working all day in a stuffy RV with no AC, so we're gonna get the heck out of here and go jump in a pool.
Yes.
Does that sum it up?
Yes, it was a good job.
All right, I'm gonna need a Modelo or a Victoria or a Dos Equis. I don't care as long as it's cold in this beer and some blue water. So I think from where we are now in Tabasco and the direction that we're headed, it's probably the safest scenario, because what we're looking at here is populated by the World Health Organization and the Ministry of Health in Mexico. And all of these little toxic dots are confirmed cases. So we're here actually where this little toxic dot is. So that means there's a confirmed case in Villahermosa. And if there's a confirmed case, we've seen what happens in everywhere else where there's confirmed cases. So I think headed to somewhere that doesn't have any confirmed cases as of yet, stocking up on all of our, home goods before we get there. And we know we're going to an actually developed RV park with 30 amp service, good cell phone connection, sewer at the sites. It's on the beach, so we can escape this nightmare if we need to. Is probably the best case scenario, in my opinion.
So last night we ended up leaving Villahermosa at the aquatic park we were staying at because honestly, the coronavirus is really starting to spread in the United States. They're about to shut down borders here. In preparation for it and to possibly get to a spot where we can self-isolate and just kind of stop while things happen here in Mexico, we wanted to make our way to the next destination. And rather than just staying overnight in some rando spot, we decided to come to a cool location, which is a chocolate farm about 45 minutes outside of Villahermosa. So this area of Mexico is known for making chocolate. So we're at an organic cacao farm that actually grows and makes their own chocolate. And if you're taking a tour, they may allow you to park overnight in your RV like they let us do last night. So this morning we're going to be taking a tour, learning how cacao is grown, made, and processed right here, and then we're going to head on to our next destination.
Unfortunately, there were no English tour guides, but we were actually able to understand most of the tour with the Spanish that I know. Casep Hacienda has over 50 hectares of organic farmland dedicated to growing cacao, but they also have hundreds of tropical fruit and herb trees like avocado, vanilla, mango, banana, cinnamon, and other native fruits, which are called mother plants. Their job is to help provide the necessary shade to the cocoa trees, giving it a richer flavor and aroma. It takes 5 years for a cocoa tree to produce its first seed pod, and it stays on the tree for about 5 months before the pods are removed. This specific hacienda has multiple varietals of cocoa trees, and they even cross-pollinate some to create their own unique flavors and aromas in their chocolate.
Whoa. Oh, what?
It is.
The inside of a cocoa pod is filled with slimy raw cocoa beans, which actually taste great. The texture may be a little off-putting, but the raw form of cacao seeds actually has 300 different properties and nutrients. The rest of the cocoa seed is sent to ferment for around 2 weeks, and then it has to dry. This process of drying and fermenting can take up to 40 days, and to help this process along, the cacao beans are moved from bin to bin. The beans are then roasted and ground into a chocolate typically mixed with sugar and milk. It takes a ton of seeds to make chocolate, around 400 beans for just a single pound. And while Casep does have a factory on site for processing the chocolate, it's not available to view on the tour. Instead, we got to learn the traditional way of making chocolate, which is artisanal chocolate without milk. We ground chilies, sugar, and cocoa beans together by hand to make a super rich and delicious piece of chocolate. If you're in the Villahermosa area, visiting a hacienda like Casep is definitely a must. The tour is only around 200 pesos per person at the time and included lots of tasty samples. We thoroughly enjoyed our experience and were more than happy to take some of the delicious chocolate home with us. But since the tour is finished, that means we're headed off to our next destination, which is where we will hopefully be in self-isolation.
know what to expect about this spot, but it's pretty dope. Pretty dope. We're gonna have the sunset every single night through the office window. We have our own private little sandy beach area with no one parked on the other side. And we're probably gonna be the only 2 campers here. There couldn't be a better hunker down situation that I can think of.
This is our spot for the next however many days. We're gonna leave you here because we're not really sure what our next destination is or what our next move is with the coronavirus. Sounds like things are starting to get shut down here in Mexico, and for that reason we're planning on kind of hunkering down here until things pick back up and we can start to travel again. We're gonna have a separate video about how we're handling the coronavirus here in Mexico, but for now, this is the end of our video for Mexico Mondays. If you liked this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. We put new videos like this out every single Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so we'll see you next week. We hope you're doing well and safe. We made it. We are in, I still don't know the the town of this name. Benicio? Alberto? Oh. Howard, what's the name of this place?
What's that?
The city, what are we at?
We are in
Benicio?
we're in like Lizard Town or something.
Oh yeah, Lizardo. Antoine Lizardo.
Okay, that's
Anton Lizardo.
it. Okay.
You ever locked the door before?
I guess not setting up for a shot. Let me do it again. Okay, ready? Open.
Okay, I don't want you that close to me, it's hot.
That's sweet.
The front is weird.